Well, I'm sure many of you have seen what is going on with FTX this week, with, of course, them being given permission to start selling off some of their digital assets in order to pay off their debts and continue with their court proceedings. Well, as a result of this, we are now seeing the Solana community somewhat freaking out to some degree, saying that this is the end of Solana and that they're about to see billions of dollars get dumped all at once and blah, 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 blah. Well, of course, it's always my duty to bring you information from the most non-biased perspective that I can. And so today I wanted to just give you a bit of an update of what is actually going on with this situation, if this is the end of Solana, and why personally I'm not all that concerned about it. So first of all, let's start off with this chart here. Now, this chart does kind of display what is actually happening with FTX and which assets they are holding that they will eventually be able to sell off. As you can see here, Solana does take the #1 spot at $1.16 billion worth in their portfolio, understandably nerve-wracking for many investors, with Bitcoin then following at 560 million, ETH at 192 million, and the rest being 137 million or below. Some significance one there, I would say, are like your wrapped Bitcoin, your wrapped Ethereum, because that does somewhat tie into ETH, obviously a little bit of XRP and some STG as well. But the main focus here, of course, is what is happening with Solana, because again, $1.16 billion of holdings is a quite significant amount. Now, when this came out and when people started talking about this, you immediately saw the fear mongers start coming out and saying, oh, this is the end of Solana. $1.16 billion worth of SOL being sold at once. Absolutely devastating. There's no way they'll recover from that. That's going to get dumped, blah, 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 blah. But what you need to understand is that's actually not how this is going to play out, okay? Now, if we go over to Miles' Twitter, of course, I'm a big fan and supporter of Miles. He does a great job. Go check him out. What you can see here is he says, as bearish as $1 billion SOL liquidation seems at face value, the truth of the matter is the majority of SOL is locked until 2028 on a vesting of a linear vesting, which means that every month a certain amount is unlocked. The same amount, right? The same ratios. Galaxy are incentivized to sell for the best possible price. Thus, OTCs plus gradual selling is more likely. What this means, an OTC sale is basically not an on-the-market sale. You're not going to go to an exchange. You're not going to do anything of that nature where you're publicly exchanging or selling that Solana. You're actually sending it directly to another investor, right? Someone might purchase it directly from you, which obviously won't impact the price of Solana because it's not being dumped onto the market. There will be $200 million a week cap on FTX sales, which means that if they were going to spend all of their money selling, or all of their available amount to spend in one session per week, they could only sell $200 million worth of Solana at once. They can't even sell that much Solana at once because it's locked on a linear vesting, so they wouldn't even be able to sell that amount. So realistically, even if they could, they couldn't sell all of their $1 billion worth of holdings at a time. And so because of this, obviously, Miles says himself that he wouldn't be surprised if the pre-dump is greater than the actual selling event. I'd be careful shorting. Now, the whole purpose of him saying this is just to say, listen, even if they wanted to sell all their Solana, they couldn't. And even if they could access all of their Solana at once, they can only sell $200 million worth of it at one time. So realistically, this is going to be a gradual thing. Yes, does this somewhat hurt Solana over the long term because there will likely be some type of consistent selling pressure to some degree? Sure. But the reality of it here is that they want to get the best price possible. And if they just start dumping hundreds of millions of dollars of Solana at a time, if they even could, that's obviously going to push the price down. And so the next time they want to sell it, it's a lower price and they don't get as much from it. So they're incentivized to sell it to some of these investors who invest into Solana and support Solana so that they can maintain a similar price and realistically not even really impact their selling procedures at all. Now, another thing I want you to pay attention to also is that this is the Alameda Solana wallet, which has the rights to the 26.7 million staked Solana from 2025 to 2028. This wallet's keys will be sold in the FTX liquidation, not the Solana, which cannot be unlocked until 2025 or 2028. As I've been posting for weeks, if again, we're talking about Marty Party Music on Twitter here, FTX and Alameda only hold 7 million Solana in wrapped SOL, which has already been pre-sold to the Solana Foundation. When the transfers happen later this week, I will share. But no, the 26 million is locked and the only key holder of this wallet can unstake it later in the future. And so the whole point of me showing you both of these tweets is to go and say, these people are blowing it out of proportion. Those of you who are just sharing this chart and saying, oh, $1 billion worth of Solana is about to be dumped, honestly, shame on you. You freaked a lot of people out for absolutely no reason. And I think people are starting to recognize that that was bullshit. And that's the reason why we are seeing a little mini pump here for Solana at this given point, coming off that little $17 low. it's up to about $19 for a nice little gainer there, right? Over 10-15%. And so with that in mind, guys, I think you need to understand and pay very close attention to the fact that it's not just this big, terrible, scary, doom and gloom event that's going to absolutely wreck Solana. It's not that big a deal, okay? Yes, there will be some general selling pressure, but there has been already. It's not really that big a deal. And realistically, people are not going to want to sell their Solana. If they buy it OTC, they're not buying it OTC just to go sell it and dump the price. Why would they do that? They're buying it OTC from FTX and from Alameda in order to hold it, probably get a pretty damn good discount, and then eventually, yeah, there will be selling pressure when Solana's price takes back off, but that is to be expected, right? And so at the end of the day, everybody, I believe, should just relax. Now, let's spend a moment. Let me go ahead and lower the share here. Let's spend a quick little moment just talking about what is happening with Solana's price itself and why I do believe that we need to actually be very cautious right now, one way or another. Although I am under the belief personally that, let me go ahead and fix you up here. Although I am under the belief personally that this isn't something I'm super concerned about in terms of price, and I'm not worried about it dumping to $2 or $3. I do still believe that Solana is positioning itself to see some type of possible pullback, and so we need to be prepared for that as per usual. So looking at Solana here, let's talk about what is going on with its price and why I, of course, am not doing too much right now. Now, before we do actually finish off this video with some more Solana, I actually wanted to bring you today's sponsor and a partner of the channel that has done some absolutely massive stuff that I just recently invested in. Of course, you all know that I haven't been doing much buying within crypto, honestly, just because I've been waiting out to see how many of these interactions do happen. And of course, as I am in the waiting process, I have been dabbling with some of your smaller, more micro cap cryptos. And this is one of the ones that I actually think has a lot of potential just because of how they are integrating themselves within the AI industry. And I figured you'd want to hear about them, so I did allow them to partner with the channel so I could, of course, bring them to you. Now, today we're talking about Solidus AI tech. Now, to put it quite simply of what exactly they do, you can go ahead and see that they are paving the way for a more convenient and secure future by providing accessible artificial intelligence as a service, or AIaaS, blockchain as a service, high performance computing power, or HPC, and an artificial intelligence marketplace. Now, let's go over to more info to learn a little bit more. As you can see here, they have constructed an environmentally friendly 8,000 square foot high performance computing, or HPC data center in a highly secure European location. Now, the reason why they did this is simply due to the fact that a notable issue arises from the absence of European HPC facilities within the global top 10 rankings. Consequently, companies in the EU often resort to outsourcing their supercomputing requirements overseas, leading to concerns regarding security and latency as a whole. And so in order to fix this problem, of course, as we can see again, they did decide to construct their own 8,000 square foot facility to kind of help contribute to this problem. Now, as I mentioned before, on top of this, they're also dabbling within the world of AI. They're creating a payment gateway for licensing artificial intelligence as a service, which is not something that I've seen a lot of, but I do think will become a big part of the AI industry, of course, as a whole. Blockchain as a service, and then, of course, renting the HPC power into the future. And so with that in mind, I mean, I think that just the way in which they're dabbling and starting to integrate themselves within this industry, they're taking the correct approach and they're well established, right? You don't get a facility that big and you don't know what you're doing, okay? Now, on top of that, they have been around for a long time. Of course, what I do see oftentimes is people do say, well, everybody's doing AI. AI is just the fad right now. But what you can see here is that they've actually been in this game for a long time. They created their AI Tech IO Twitter account in 2021. They've gathered 184,000 followers and they post daily consistently and get a ton of engagement because they've been a leading kind of somewhat pioneer within this AI crypto space, and I do believe that does put them in a position to take advantage of kind of those early mover advantages, right? Now, on top of that, they finally have launched their token itself. If we do go out here, as I can show you here, they did launch their token itself. It did go through that little post-launch dump in which most tokens do these days. They go up to a certain percent, they come down 30-40%, then they stabilize and figure it out from there. I can say that they are running a pretty solid marketing campaign right now, so I do think there could be some potential. So because of that, of course, I have invested some of my own money into them, and I wanted to bring them to you. Do remember, this is purely and fully educational. I just want to give you some information about them so you can check them out yourself. So let me know down in the comments below. But with that in mind, let's finish off this video here with some Solana and talking about what we can expect next. So in the last video for Solana, I told you all, listen, pay close attention to these interactions. We have a key level of resistance and a key level of support. Off of this key level of support, we also have this key Fibonacci zone, both of which are pushing the price back to the upside. If this bounce to the upside fails and we do not capture this level of resistance and break above, let's call it $19.75, Solana absolutely, positively will be in position, in my opinion, to come retest towards the bottom and very likely break to the bottom side, which could put it in a position to come revisit $15.71, which from here is a nice price drop of over 16 to 17%. Okay, so you need to watch extremely closely. We need to see this thing break to the upside here. If it doesn't break this resistance, we're probably going to be in for a rough couple of days or a rough couple of weeks. So of course I will continue to update you on that in the future. Now, as I mentioned before, even if the price does fall to the downside here, I'm not all that concerned. It's not like I think it's going to be some huge dump like people were saying it was going to be if FTX sold $1 billion worth of Solana, but I do believe it could get a little bit ugly before it gets a little bit better. And so of course, just pay close attention to the interaction between resistance and support. But with that said, I will continue to update you as this all does play out. So make sure that you do subscribe to the channel so that you never miss another video. And well, I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.